I'm okay. I am in Kiev, and all this time since the 24th of February, I was in Kiev together with my parents. And now I am also in Kiev in my office in Art Arsenal, who is every year organizing the International Book Arsenal Festival in Kiev in May. Usually we are doing the festival the last week of May. For this year, we were planning it on the 25th to 29th of May. The International Book Arsenal Festival is the project of the biggest Ukrainian art institution named Mistецький Arsenal, or Art Arsenal in English. And this is a multidisciplinary festival, which is first literary, and after that, all the other arts are united to the literature. So in some case, we are very similar to what you are doing, as I understand, because we are also, playing with the book as an object, with the literature as a process, with all the people who are doing books and doing literature, and gathering them together with different other arts. With the exhibitions, we are doing like up to 15 exhibitions last year, for example, with the performances, with the cinema, with the musical part, with the readings, musical poetry events, and so on and so on. So it's a big festival. It's the biggest one in Kiev, and I guess it's even the biggest one in the region, probably. Because usually before the COVID times, we have 55,000 of visitors every festival. The festival lasts 5 days and usually includes 400 to 500 events on 15 stages. It is held in the ancient building of Mistецький Arsenal, which probably is also some kind of an irony that it was former military plant, and now it's the biggest art institution in Ukraine. It's very international one. It's one of the biggest from the side of the international guests and the quantity and the quality of these guests. And we are partners with all the cultural institutions which are actively working in Ukraine. For example, the Institute Français, with the Goethe Institute, with the other festivals and book fairs. We have usually huge representatives of different literatures coming to the festival to take part in the program. We have big program for kids and teens. We have special programs with the guest curators. So it's like a very big project. We are preparing it almost all the year to have it 5 days finally in May. Was really very important event for Ukrainian authors and literary stars. Before COVID time, we had up to 100 foreign guests every year. And there were regular missiles attacks and more than 10, 12 sirenas every day. And it was really impossible to work in this condition, of course. But from the very first days, we, with the team, we were trying to do a lot in the informational field. We were issuing the open letters to our partners and to the audience on what's going on. We were issuing the letters with the appeals to the international community, to the professional community, telling them what's going on and asking them to spread the word and to be with us and to support us. We were, looking for the partnerships to be strong enough in these appeals and to be loud enough. We are working distantly. We are feeling ourselves as a team. We are doing important things. We understand that this is our way of doing the job now. So we canceled the festival for this year. We reformed our work on the being more international. We have focused on working with the different cultural institutions and book festivals and book fairs, proposing them that Book Arsenal can be the guest festival in their programs. We are doing this with the different fairs. We are working with our partners with whom we were, familiar long ago. From the very beginning, we started to work also together with different cultural institutions in Ukraine. We have formed the working group of 4 or 5 institutions who are responsible for different types of work in the cultural sphere. For example, the Ukrainian Institute, which is the part of the Ministry of International Affairs, responsible for the cultural policy abroad. The Ukrainian Book Institute, who is responsible for the representation of Ukraine in the different international fairs. I think that this is what we are asking the community, and this is what we are asking people to read about Ukraine, to study Ukraine, to translate Ukraine, to understand what's going on here, to, not to listen to propaganda and listen to the real voices. And what writers are doing, they are speaking as a real voices of what's going on. We have a lot of examples now when really literary people, authors, translators, publishers are either in the military forces or volunteering as the helping the usual people, or working as a supplying the military forces, or in the territorial defense forces. So a lot of people are involved because it's the huge war. It's like there is no family, nobody in the country who are not affected with this situation. So we can be honest that this is not only the war between, this is not the war between territories, and it's not the war for the territory. It's the war against the freedom and against the culture in somehow. Russia is destroying the centuries-old history of Ukraine now. We have the statistics and the awful figures of those cultural monuments, buildings which were destroyed during this 2.5 months. The weapons do not stop the paintings of Maria Primachenko, which a museum was destroyed. A few days ago, they bombed the museum of Skovoroda, who is the ancient philosopher, Ukrainian philosopher. They didn't stop with the memorial of Holocaust, Babin Yar, and the cathedral of the 18th century. I mean, it's the war against the culture. So the people from culture have to be loud, and they have to speak loudly on what's going on and what is their opinion and what is their view. And maybe cultural people can speak even more loudly than politics, because they are speaking with the objects, they are working with emotions, they are working, touching people with a lot of emphasizing messages better than politics can. So this is also the reason why we are asking to give us the place to speak, and why we are asking to boycott Russian cultural activities, because Russians were loud enough until now, and maybe now it's time for them to keep silence and not to speak about the the great Russian culture, because they were loudly enough until now. Now it's a time for us to speak about us, and maybe it's a time for Europe and for the world to open Ukraine and to understand better what's going on in the biggest country in the Europe. Because if it's important not only for us, it's important for Ukraine and for the world. I think that Europe has really lack of information about Ukraine before this invasion. I guess maybe now because of the invasion the situation is a bit other, but before really usually common people were thinking that Ukraine is something like Russia, but not Russia. First of all, we are totally not Russia. Second is we have a rich and long history. We have a lot of, very, very interesting and impressive heritage. We have a century-old history of Ukraine, and it's important, and it's part of European history. It's part of the world history. We are the biggest country in Europe, and we had before the invasion more than 40 million of people. It's like a huge country. Europe has lack of information about what's going on inside, what culture do we have, what literature do we have. Very few authors are translated, and I mean, only few last years we had some successes in these, saying more about us and giving more information about us. I think that one of the goals of Book Arsenal probably was this building these bridges with the international institutions and with international festivals, telling more about us and telling more about Ukrainian literature and Ukrainian people and Ukrainian culture itself in general. I do ask you to translate Ukrainian authors. They're pretty good. They are really very, very, indifferent. They are fresh. They are unique in some kind, and they are so pretty. They are so nice guys and girls and women. So please look for and translate what you like. I am sure that you will find what you like. I ask you also to donate funds to publish Ukrainian books for our refugees, which is really also very important. There are a lot of Ukrainian people now in Europe. We are grateful for your support. We are grateful for the support of France, for support of other European countries who became homes for our people. I am sure that it's temporary. They will return. A lot of them will return, but now they are living in your countries and they need your support and your understanding, and they need books, and please help them in the next times. I ask you also to join in or to organize yourself the peaceful protests or rallies in your cities, to show the world that you are with us, and to share your position, and to share the position with those who didn't understand what's going on, because there are a lot of other countries who trust France, and there are countries who are looking for what's going on in France and what France is thinking about the situation. I also ask, as everybody from the cultural institutions now in Ukraine, and I ask you to boycott them, to suspend all the projects that involve Russian institutions and Russian official institutions and governmental organizations. And I ask you to stop activities with the Russian culture activities and persons, and give the voice and the place to speak to Ukrainian culture representatives. I ask you also maybe to think of coming to Kiev. I will be really happy to have you as a guest. And when we will have the next Book Arsenal Festival, I will be really more than happy to have some kind of a joint project with your project, and maybe to meet you as a guest, and to have one more peaceful conversation, and to show you Kiev. It's extremely beautiful city, especially in the end of May. I hope that we will have a chance, and maybe it will not be so long to wait.